I would think, for these for the lead officer to make that call and try and pit a car.
Oh, pedestrian right there next to that vehicle, coming very close as he made that wild right turn there. You're right. At least as long as we've had eyes on this, Rob, I haven't seen a really clear opportunity to execute a safe pit maneuver. They're going to be looking for the speeds to stay around 20 to 40 miles per hour, but you know, you also need the clearance, especially on these narrow roads. You're not going to see it in a residential street where there could be unknowns behind any corner or parked car, and especially once you get onto some of the busier streets as we start to get further away from rush hour. Still seeing lots of volume out there, especially on Whittier Boulevard. Just a moment ago, you saw there was just too many people, pedestrians and motorists alike, that surround this area that just make it unsafe to execute a good pit maneuver. So right now, they'll look for the opportunity if that supervisor gives the go-ahead, but we have not seen that. So right now, don't even look for that until we get to a more wide open area. The speeds are at about right, but again, you need really clear roads and enough girth there on those wider roads to execute a full 180 spin out and then bring this pursuit to a conclusion. So right now, continuing to blow through red lights here through this residential neighborhood, traveling along Eagle Street here in East LA, and making random turns. At least by my estimation, all of these turns appear to be random, and with that much traffic down there, you can still see he's only holding at about 40 miles per hour. So pretty fast for a residential neighborhood, but obviously that vehicle is capable of going much faster if he really wanted to. So he's not exactly zooming through here, but certainly the driving is dangerous enough that they have to get this guy off the road. The chances become less and less likely that they are going to let this person go, especially from everything that we know about this pursuit. It just seems unlikely. Now making another left turn there onto Hubbard Street as he continues to find himself in these residential neighborhoods looking for maybe another left turn. Really doesn't know where he wants to take this, and I question his familiarity with this general area. Just doesn't seem like he knows where he's going.
Yeah, you mentioned before that, you know, he's just driving around making somewhat random turns here and there. It kind of makes you feel if he's thinking about bailing, right? Trying to find a good spot, like trying to, I don't know, like find a spot where he might be able to run through some yards, jump a fence, something like that, which very rarely pans out for these guys anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it never works out well. But again, you know, when you have somebody who's possibly armed with a weapon, you know, they kind of, there's all kinds of unknowns here. And now look at that, another person coming in the opposite direction here. He's traveling at a relatively safe speed here, but still, you know, if he just takes his eyes off the road, somebody could get hurt here on these narrow residential streets. And you just get the impression that if he sees a major, if he comes up on another major intersection, he's probably going to take the turn. He's not going towards the freeway. Right now, he's just kind of meandering through this residential neighborhood. Again, still on Hubbard Street. He's been traveling down Hubbard for eastbound on Hubbard for a couple of minutes now. You see now, I count 4 units still behind him. And again, from what we're hearing, it does sound like California Highway Patrol, I believe, that has taken over this pursuit. But in any event, he has kind of continued this game of cat and mouse, refusing to pull over, making random turns, not breaking any speed records. The driving is fairly tame, but as we've seen so many times in the past, and even very recently, it could go from, you know, a very tame pursuit to a very wild and reckless pursuit in a matter of seconds at the drop of a dime if that person feels enough pressure. And you already saw at one point as that primary unit started to inch up behind him, it was enough for him to press on the gas and speed up a little bit. Now making a right turn onto busy Garfield Avenue. He's found his major, and now he took it. So now he's going down Garfield Avenue at about 55 miles per hour, stepping on the gas here as he looks for, I believe, another freeway eventually.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he's lost, or if he doesn't have GPS, or if he's just kind of winging it, hoping to find some way onto a freeway.
coming up on Whittier Boulevard, making a turn onto Whittier, and there just happened to be another black and white right around the corner there. Now he's turned on his sirens. He may go ahead and join this pursuit. Not sure what jurisdiction he is, but if it is CHP, we may see him get involved here to help these officers out. Again, that's just speculation. Wasn't sure what agency that is, but you see those California Highway Patrol officers now keeping up with him at 60 miles per hour down busy Whittier Boulevard. Again, no opportunity for a pit maneuver here. Too much oncoming traffic, too many variables on Whittier Boulevard to execute a safe pit maneuver. It's just too early in the evening, too many people around, and with an unpredictable driver here, he could steer right off of Whittier Boulevard at any moment, as he has done already on so many of these surface streets. Not really maintaining any clear straightaways here. I just am speculating, but I believe he's looking for either a place to dump the vehicle or an opportunity to get back on the freeway. But that would only work for him if he gets onto the eastbound side. As we get further towards East LA here, the westbound side is clear, but the eastbound side of the 10 freeway and the 60 freeway alike are both seeing really, really heavy traffic right now.
Yeah, we're being told that the law enforcement choppers have swapped out a bit. CHP choppers still in the air. San Bernardino has peeled off, and now LA County Sheriff chopper is also following this pursuit, which has been going on for, at least a half an hour now, maybe even longer. Earlier, we had reports of speeds up to 80 to 90 miles per hour.
Into a parking lot. This could be dangerous here. Into a Target parking lot. A random turn into a busy parking lot. Look at that, a jam-packed Target parking lot as he comes up into the shopping center. We don't know if he's just using it to cut through here. It looks like he might be. And now a possible confrontation here with other officers trying to triangulate with him in this parking lot. We'll see if they cut him off at the exit here, but he's speeding up at 40 miles per hour through this parking lot. Lots of cars there as he looks for an exit opportunity onto Gerhardt Avenue. Once again, we've been here before, but look at all the black and whites. Yeah, all of these black and whites from now several different agencies that are coming at him from all different angles. That's going to be enough to agitate him, put him onto the wrong side of Whittier Boulevard. Now going the wrong way on Whittier, back on the correct side of on the road there, but definitely crossing over the double yellow lines for a few seconds as he felt some pressure. We're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here as he zooms right past that red light. We're seeing a lot more law enforcement in the area in front of him and behind him. And as he feels that pressure, you're seeing a slight escalation in terms of his daringness to speed through red lights and stop signs, and definitely pick up the pace a little bit, showing that he does not want to go to jail, but certainly that is probably how this is going to end up. But right now he is still zooming down at about 45 to 50 miles per hour down Whittier Boulevard. Again, we've been here before. We're seeing a lot of repeat tracks here as he goes in circles through East LA, but still inching his way closer to the East LA interchange little by little.
Yeah, and he's been catching some breaks. It seems like he's getting a lot of green lights. I haven't. The last couple of intersections have been green. Lucky for him, although now he's running into some traffic here, and he's just jumping on the turn lane.
Jumping into the turn lane there, making a U-turn back, going westbound again. That he is on the edge of Montebello here, now going back towards the west. So, like I said, he keeps, it's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back towards the east. He's really very, very unsure of where he wants to take this or where he wants to dump the vehicle. And with that in mind, you know that eventually he's going to just have to be, he's going to be forced to either give up and put his hands up or dump the vehicle and try and run. But with so much law enforcement in the area, it's not looking good for him. Not to mention you've got helicopters overhead, just too many eyeballs on this suspect that it just looks like he's basically enjoying his last few minutes of freedom here as he continues this joyride, once again going westbound on Whittier Boulevard, getting further and further west. Again, like I said, he'll go west for a little while, then he'll turn around, jump into some of these neighborhoods, but somehow he keeps making his way further and further west. And I say that because that's going to eventually put him back into LAPD's jurisdiction. Right now, you mentioned we are certainly in the sheriff's jurisdiction. CHP behind him, sheriff's overhead, LAPD in front of him, and other agencies like Montebello and neighboring agencies that are keeping an eye on this as this traverses through various municipalities. You can see him continuing 50 miles per hour down Whittier Boulevard, blowing right through red lights, and that's where you start to see things get very dangerous. You really, really worry about going through the wrong intersection with cross traffic, and things could turn very, very dangerous. Now you see we passed that Target parking lot that he tried to hide in for a minute, used it as a cut through, and is now continuing westbound on Whittier Boulevard, Rob.
Yeah, so he's just going back and forth, it seems, on the same street here. And I don't know what he thinks the outcome is going to be, that the officers are going to just pull over and let him go, but they're on him, and they're not going to let him free, right? They're going to stick with this pursuit. And as you mentioned, we have a sky full of choppers above him. This guy, I don't know. I don't know what his game plan is, right? But it doesn't seem too smart right now.
He's on. I would say he's on borrowed time. I think you're absolutely right about that. There's that sheriff's helicopter doing really tight orbits around that suspect vehicle. Again, this is a stolen Nissan Murano out of San Bernardino County. This has ended up in LA County, but you see him now again retracing his steps here as he does circles in various neighborhoods, not committing to any one street or neighborhood, just kind of making this up as he goes along, as he just uses up whatever is left in this vehicle. The vehicle's in fine shape, but you know that there is only a finite amount of fuel in that gas tank. So if he continues the aimless driving, he's going to be forced to either jump out of the vehicle or give up. Those are the two big possibilities in front of me right now, are either giving up peacefully and surrendering or trying to run for it, which probably won't work out so well with all the resources that have been dedicated to this pursuit. And by the way, just because California Highway Patrol has taken over this pursuit does not mean that San Bernardino turned around and went home. They are still monitoring this pursuit, and they will likely be right behind California Highway Patrol when this pursuit does finally come to an end, to bring this person back to San Bernardino to face those original charges. I would say that is the most likely scenario. He is probably not going to Men's Central downtown. He's going back to San Bernardino, which is a different story, especially considering that we have, I think, pretty good reason to believe that there is more to the story here than just Grand Theft Auto. Again, I'm speculating a little bit, Rob, but you just get that impression that he is running from some more serious charges. Now you see we're going back in the eastbound direction, really going back and forth right along Whittier Boulevard. He's been on Whittier now for several minutes, going east and west, making random U-turns. You saw we just passed that Target shopping center yet again as he makes his way back into Montebello proper.
Yeah, and at gas is $6 a gallon. You kind of hope that the little swerve there into the other oncoming traffic. But expensive gas. You hope the owner he stole this car from maybe kept the gas tank at a quarter tank, or at least not full. Hopefully this.
Well. Yeah, one thing that's interesting is now that he's been up and down Whittier Boulevard with all of those resources on Whittier, we're starting to see, like we did just there, a spike strip attempt. Oh. That's what he was swerving away from. And if that continues, you might see additional attempts to spike the vehicle as he if and when he establishes a pattern like he did there for a minute. Now he's in some new territory here, back on Hubbard, which we were on earlier, a little bit further to the east. But if he makes a right turn back onto Whittier Boulevard, we now know that there are black and whites prepared to lay down a spike strip if they see the opportunity to safely do so. So with all of the busy traffic on these majors and these narrow side streets, a pit maneuver is less likely. But as he starts to do circles and make U-turns on the same surface streets, the possibility and likelihood of a spike strip really becomes a tool that is very appetizing for California Highway Patrol or any of these agencies that are monitoring this pursuit.
Yeah, so Chris, we have some video just a few minutes ago. This is from, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes ago when he made that turn and came so close to those pedestrians by the car there. Fortunately, they were not hit, but the car continued on. And this is what we're talking about. This is how these situations can get so dangerous so quickly. He makes a turn, it's dark, and there are people in the street.
Exactly. These wild left and right turns at various intersections, barely braking in some cases, and then a swerve into the wrong lanes of traffic, crossing over the paint there. It puts everybody in danger. You just take your eye off the road for just a second as you're trying to run from law enforcement. Your adrenaline's going, and it doesn't take much, unfortunately. It just doesn't take much for somebody to get hurt. That's why these pursuits are so dangerous, and that's why we cover them the way that we do, because when you have somebody who is so unpredictable, who is disobeying the rules of the road, erratic moves left and right, it poses a real threat to the public here in all of these neighborhoods, and that's why it's so important to keep an eye. If you live in the area, stay home. Keep your doors and windows locked, because you just never know how this is going to end as we navigate these various surface streets.
Crazy.
Right, as we've seen so often in these pursuits, people will bail out of those vehicles. The next thing you know, they're in someone's yard, possibly running through someone's home.
Right,
I've seen in the past where they've climbed onto people's roofs.
I've been scrolling myself here.
Ended up there. So you just, like you mentioned, you just never know what these people are going to do, where they're going to go, and what's going through their mind.
That's right. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, we've seen several pursuits that ended in random restaurants at different times of the day. Dinner time, lunchtime, you just run into a restaurant, hide out in a various, in any given commercial business. If they're open, you just try and look for a hiding spot, and then all of a sudden you've got, patrons that are in danger. Or in the case that you mentioned, so many times they run through neighborhoods, start jumping fences, and all of a sudden it becomes a home invasion as the person tries to hide out inside of a residence. You just never know, and that's why these situations are so volatile. And now you see him on Wilcox Avenue, which is a wide street that is a little bit less traveled. A few cars in the way here, but we'll see here as this continues up Wilcox. If he stays on Wilcox, maybe you see with enough lanes to play with, now going under the freeway, under the 60 freeway, if he either looks for an opportunity to get back onto the 60, or if they see an opportunity to maybe give the go-ahead for that pit maneuver. Right now, haven't seen any really clear opportunities. But
I appreciate everybody hanging in with me while we work out these issues.
Or now on just passing Gleason Street, you see much less traffic. This is a narrow road here, so you wouldn't see it on a residential street like this. But if he does find a wide enough street, they may execute that pit maneuver. You never know.
Yeah, and he just passed up a freeway, right? I mean, it wasn't an on-ramp right there, but well, who knows? Now he's taking a right-hand turn. Maybe he's going to head back and try and find the way out to that freeway.
Yeah, I mean, that was my prediction, and I think it's probably
still
a good bet,
inbound.
although, if he doesn't know how to find that entrance, if he really doesn't know where he's going, very easy to get lost in these random neighborhoods here in the San Gabriel Valley, or even end up in a cul-de-sac or a dead end without even realizing it. You find yourself in a position where you've now trapped yourself by making these random turns. Now back on Reagan Street again, and this starts to raise the question of, we said earlier it appeared to be random when he got off the freeway in this part of town, near Montebello, here in the East LA area. Maybe he does know something about this neighborhood as he continues to find himself, or we continue to find ourselves here, cruising over the same exact streets repeatedly now. I see a little bit more of a pattern that we didn't see earlier. Makes you wonder why he got off the 60 freeway in this part of town and why he keeps finding himself on the same streets. If these street names here near the top of your screen, coming to a stop, and we'll see if that driver's side door pops open. We'll see why he stopped the vehicle, if he's going to run for it or start to surrender. Maybe the fuel tank is running low, but it's a good sign, to say the least, that he's now stopped. Now we'll just see if he starts to cooperate and obey the commands of California Highway Patrol, who are now stepping out of their vehicles, stepping out of their patrol cars with their guns drawn. They've got those spotlights on that driver's side of the vehicle. They're going to begin ordering him out of the vehicle. But right now, you see that driver's side door still shut. The headlights are still on, so the vehicle is on. The ignition is engaged. He has just come to a pause here. We'll see if he cooperates or continues the pursuit.
Well, let's hope they could maybe get a spike strip ahead of him if he does decide to take off again. But yeah, you could see the officers with a couple of long guns there and some handguns. Let's see what happens
here. 9 times out of 10, you're 100% right, Rob. They'll have plenty of time now in a situation like this, as he's been stopped for close to a minute. They'll have plenty of time to get on the other side of this street and set up for that spike strip. So he's somewhat boxed in. You get the feeling that this pursuit is coming to an end, and you don't see him trying to run, and that's a good sign. So maybe just enjoying his final minutes of freedom, as I suspected earlier, and hopefully, we can only hope that he gives up peacefully here. But without seeing those hands out the window, that's not a great sign. This now turns into a standoff, and without knowing how many other people are inside the vehicle or what the mental state of the suspect is behind the wheel, there's still so many possibilities. Again, keep in mind, there is a belief on the part of law enforcement that this suspect may be armed with a handgun. So we're, with that in mind, we're going to keep an eye on this very, very cautiously. If he
there's
steps
some
out of the
movement
vehicle,
you could see in the through the windshield there. It looks like the other windows on the SUV seem to be tinted, but you could obviously see through. There's some movement. I don't know if
I noticed that too. You see some movement through the front windshield. We'll stay on this side here and keep this angle, but difficult to see what's going on in there. Definitely some movement. Maybe a cell phone on. It could be a reflection, but I think I might see a screen there. But
so if anybody's tapping
no cooperation here on the part of the driver of this stolen
on any
vehicle.
of the other
So
ones.
a tenuous situation, a delicate operation here for California Highway Patrol at the end of the pursuit, where
I'm
the
not
driver
able to
is
run the
refusing
flight
to cooperate.
tracker
We can only imagine
this
what is
browser,
going through
so I got to figure something out for that.
and what is going on inside the vehicle. Certainly, the end of the pursuit is almost always the most dangerous. Obviously, there's lots of potential for danger over the course of a pursuit, especially high-speed pursuits where we saw so many erratic moves. This was not particularly high speed, but still, there are always lives in danger in every pursuit. But at the end of the pursuit, where there are so many unknowns and so many variables, especially when there's a weapon involved, it's still a very, very volatile situation. They don't know exactly what they're dealing with. We certainly don't know what they're dealing with. They may have a better idea of what this suspect is capable of, but we certainly don't. And for that reason, you're going to see them treat this with kid glove care as they wait for the suspect to cooperate and eventually probably call for more backup, which will likely come from the LA County Sheriff's Department.
And this is going on right now in East Fernfield Drive and Fulton Avenue. That's in the southwest San Gabriel Valley, where they have this driver stopped right now. They're obviously ordering him to get out of the vehicle. And I keep saying him. I assume it's a male. I think that's what we were told. Possibly armed, which really jacks up the crisis situation here, because you just don't know what he's going to do. And what you want to see is the window down, the hands out, and they ask him, usually they'll have him get out, lay face down on the ground with the hands behind him, but right now we're not seeing that. But the good news
also to shut off the vehicle. One of the first things is to shut off the vehicle. In many cases, you want to see them even drop the keys, but the vehicle is clearly still on. And now we see more backup
instructions
arriving.
on how
this
to
continues much longer. The call will eventually be put out for the Special Enforcement Bureau. They might bring in a Bearcat, or they may bring in a canine unit to be ready to pounce here. They may decide to use less lethal weaponry to try and gas out the suspect. All kinds of tools at their disposal here, but that will all most likely come from the LA County Sheriff's Department once that call for backup is placed. So a lot of California Highway Patrol at the end of this pursuit, but the longer this goes and turns into a standoff, it becomes a more prolonged exercise.
Yeah. And these guys aren't going anywhere. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's on the phone with someone right now. Maybe he's calling an attorney, which would probably be a good piece of advice for him. But yeah.
Yep. What you don't see is a whole lot of backup coming in yet. Whether that call has been placed or not, we can assume that it might have been, but certainly at this point, it almost looks like the same 4 or 5 units that are right behind them. Let's go ahead and take this opportunity to pan over to the opposite side. I was just going to say, let's go ahead and see if they have set up a spike strip. Brian, let's go ahead and see if there's awaiting officers, which it does appear that there are. And here comes a black and white going the opposite way. This is going to be a head-to-head situation here as they approach the other side of this block. It certainly appears plenty of gas in the tank here. That the pursuit is back on. Just like that, you think you're at the end of the chase, and now the pursuit is back on. Now you see the freeway. He sees the freeway. And now you really have to believe he's looking for a chance to get back on the freeway so he could try and step on that gas pedal. But he is not giving up easily. He had some time to think about it, and unfortunately, his better conscience is not winning out here. He is still on the run here after what you hoped would have been the end of that pursuit, especially where they could have boxed him in or set up for a spike strip. Exactly what we were talking about, Rob. They failed to do. They were not ready at the other end of that intersection. They may have their reasons for doing it, but in any event, he was able to slip right by that oncoming black and white, and the pursuit is back on, and it really makes you wonder, what happened there, because
bit of a
when
missed
you have a
opportunity.
suspect isolate, it's a missed opportunity. Exactly right. There are so many more lives that are in danger now than there were just 90 seconds ago when he was sitting still on that residential block. And now look at this, wild left turns at high speeds through the red light there, turning off of Garfield onto Elmgate here
not
on not a well-lit street here, very residential, narrow roads where the suspect is picking up speed. Those same units are now continuing the pursuit behind him, and we'll see what happens next. But that really amps things up here, and I think only makes this even more serious at this point.
Yeah, and who knows the conditions there, why they didn't put a spike strip in front of that vehicle. Maybe if the suspect is believed to be armed, you don't want to put an officer in jeopardy by putting him in front of the vehicle. But even, half a block away, it seems like they could have put a car or a spike strip or something there. But again, I'm not a police officer. I don't know how it works. There must be some sort of protocol or reason why they didn't do this.
Well, one of the problems here, and this is a great, look at this, a busy intersection there, cross traffic, did he make the right turn? Okay, he paused there, some heavy cross traffic, and now he's back on Garfield Avenue. We'll keep a close eye on this because I just get the feeling the driving is going to become a little bit more dangerous as he goes through another red light here, slowing down for the red light, but continuing on Garfield Avenue. And what I was about to say was Rob, that, California Highway Patrol is the lead agency here. When it comes to coordinating for, let's say, a prospective spike strip attempt or something like that to box them in at the other end of the intersection, requires more coordination with the other municipalities. In this case, LA County Sheriff's Department would be the one to help out with that spike strip. But when they don't know what the situation is, sometimes that cooperation can get, sometimes, let's just say, communication could break down, or not necessarily break down, but communication and coordination can slow down so that different supervisors are now in the kitchen together making cooperative decisions and trying to figure out what resources they're going to dedicate and what risks they are going to take to bring this to an end. Because as far as the LA County Sheriff's Department is concerned, they don't know who this guy is. They don't know what the charge is. They only know what they're being told by California Highway Patrol, and they have a decision to make in terms of how much they want to be involved. As far as they know, this is a San Bernardino suspect, and there's just a lot of decision points and people making decisions that may have contributed to that lack of readiness there at the end of that block. In the meantime, though, we see that speeds picking up here, 50 miles per hour, again down Wilcox Avenue. again, doing a circle in the same neighborhood where there are now officers not only behind him, but officers in front of him as well. And some of them may very well be LA County Sheriff's deputies, but he is still continuing these circles in the same general part of town, which makes you wonder, maybe he lives here or, just
knows someone.
Is familiar with this neighborhood. You just never know.
And we keep seeing him circle underneath the 60 freeway there. So you would think maybe he isn't interested in getting on the freeway because you'd be able to figure out some way to find an on-ramp.
That's right. And now once again, back on empty Garfield Avenue. A little bit of traffic going the opposite way here. But if they see a straightaway without any oncoming traffic, he's going, just a little too fast for that pit maneuver. But if he slows down, they could give the go-ahead here. Or, considering that he's done so many circles, he's been on Whittier Boulevard, he's been on Reagan Street, he's been on Garfield Avenue, they're going to start setting up at these various intersections for a possible spike strip, as we saw a little while ago, coming very close to traffic here. Other motorists
some pedestrian help,
using that gas station likely to cut through here. Or is he going under there? Is he going?
Let's hope he's
going around the pumps. Going around the pumps, and now coming back here. We'll see. There's an opportunity for a pit. There was an open opportunity to nudge that vehicle. It might have been a little bit too congested for them, but in any event, you see lots of law enforcement ready for him. Again, under the 60 freeway, bypassing opportunities to get on the freeway as he is now back into a commercial area along Garfield Avenue, really amping things up here, and that just really makes me worry about the unknowns here. Now into the back of, or actually into a parking lot, a 99-cent store parking lot. A little more pavement here, not as busy of a parking lot, but just most likely looking for a way to cut through and get back onto, in this case,
closed in pretty quick there.
Looks like Via Campo, which is just off of Garfield. Coming around this Ford dealership here now, again paralleling the freeway. If there's going to be an opportunity to get back on the freeway, this is going to be it. So we'll look for an opportunity. There he is. Look at that, going around traffic here, but no entrance ramp. No entrance ramp, just going back under the freeway. You'll notice, Rob, we've now been under this overpass on several occasions. This one, as well as other neighboring underpasses. He is now crossed Pomona and continuing to kind of meander on the north and south side of the 60 freeway. Something tells me this is going to end in a foot bail, but that's just a guess on my part.
Yeah, and he does seem to be, I don't know, like he's more herky-jerky in his driving right now, and the way he was cutting through the gas station and the parking lot for the 99-cent store, it makes you wonder if he is getting a bit more antsy or hyped up, maybe preparing to bolt from that vehicle. I think you're right. And even though the driving has been relatively tame, we see situations where he makes, an unpredictable move or a dangerous move where other traffic can't see him, whether he's blowing through a red light or a stop sign or what have you. And it could go from a tame pursuit to, as I mentioned before, a very dangerous pursuit where somebody could get hurt, whether it's cross traffic or a pedestrian, somebody walking their dog at this time of the night. These are very residential neighborhoods that we are traversing here. Now 60 miles per hour, doing almost 20 miles plus over the speed limit down Garfield Avenue, where there is little traffic as he picks up steam here. 60 plus miles per hour on Garfield is going to raise the ante here, and you might see, if the traffic stays light, you might see them pull up a little bit closer behind him, maybe apply a little more pressure. You see, again, law enforcement both in front of him and behind him with limited options in this situation, but if he slows down, that's where they can maybe bring this to an end. I got an arm hanging out now. But again, on Garfield, there he is on Garfield. I don't know how many times we've seen him drive up and down Garfield Avenue here.
Up and down, numerous times by my count. I've lost track, to be honest with you. A lot of these street names, if they sound familiar, trust your instincts, because we have been here before, and he keeps making these really random turns. But I say random. He may not
But he's got his arm out the window now. I don't know if he's flipping off officers or I don't know if you could see that, Chris. But
yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, Rob. Yeah, he may be more familiar with these roads than we're giving him credit for. One thing he hasn't done is trapped himself too much in any dark corners here.
Yeah.
When I say dark corners, I mean like dead ends or what have you. But in any event, he's continuing to backtrack again, going back towards Whittier Boulevard, heading back towards the freeway. I mean, these are really repetitive steps that he's making here as we continue further south away from the 60 freeway now, away from the 10 back towards the 60. Mm-hmm. We're just kind of we're bouncing so frequently up and down the same streets. I'm starting to lose direction here, but yeah, he is now on Grand Ridge Avenue, heading back towards the 60 freeway, and if he slows down a little bit, I almost wonder if we may see an opportunity for that supervisor to feel more comfortable giving the go-ahead for that pit maneuver. We'll see here, but it's really anybody's guess at this point. We thought we might see a spike strip at the pause there in that pursuit, but that didn't happen. So we'll see what they have in mind here.
Yeah, and that really did throw me for a loss. They had several minutes there where he was stopped on a very narrow street, and there was an opportunity, you would think, to spike strip the car, blockade it. But, yeah, after it seemed like 4 or 5 minutes, then he just pulled away.
I think the biggest reason is that they have too many unknowns inside of this vehicle, namely the weapon. Yeah. The report of a weapon inside that vehicle, I think, is playing a big part of the calculus here, especially on the part of California Highway Patrol. They are much less likely, if at all, willing to pit a vehicle with a known weapon inside the vehicle. And again, I repeat, we really don't know how this all started, only that this is a grand theft auto suspect who is possibly armed. If they have confirmation of that weapon and confirmation of more serious crimes that have taken place here, again, as he comes back on to Garfield Avenue yet again, that will prevent them from executing a pit maneuver. However, we have seen a willingness to try the spike strip. Yeah. But the pit maneuver seems to be out of the question. We've seen a couple of possible opportunities. I just think that the weapon in that vehicle is the big game changer here. Yeah,
on the right-hand side of the screen, we're looping one of those opportunities where you see the spike strip thrown out into the street. He was able to dodge it, though.
Yeah, unfortunately. Back into this might even be the same gas station.
Same Shell station,
just
I believe.
A few moments ago.
What is this guy doing?
I think it's the same station, and he's cutting through again. Now, whether it's a coincidence
he's out of his mind.
that he's choosing the gas station, or whether he's actually running out of gas back underneath the 60 freeway here. Again, Garfield Avenue at the 60. Traversing the same overpasses, or I should say underpasses, as he reverses course here back into that commercial district here. He is picking up a little bit of speed and refusing to pull over as he continues at 50 miles per hour in this stolen Nissan Murano. Again, to recap now, we are going on upwards of at least 90 minutes that this pursuit has been taking place, and that's a minimum. We don't know exactly what time it started. It could be much longer, especially considering that this all started in San Bernardino County. So, this is a lengthy pursuit, and law enforcement has yet at any point shown a willingness to just give it up. And the longer it goes and the more dangerous it becomes, I think the less likely it is, as you mentioned, that they will give it up. So this is going to end somehow, some way, with him most likely being taken into custody. But it's a matter of whether he gives up peacefully or by some other means they have to forcefully end this pursuit. We'll see how it ends. But you just hate to see it on these surface streets. Believe me, each and every one of these law enforcement officers is wishing at this point that he would just get back onto the freeway, because that is just the safest place for a pursuit like this. There's just less opportunity for collateral damage. There's less opportunity for pedestrians to get involved, and there's more opportunity for him to basically stay in a contained area where they can create traffic breaks, either either behind him or in front of him or both. Yeah, but at this point, as long as he's on surface streets, all bets are off. I think the knowledge of a weapon inside that vehicle, I believe, is playing a really big part here.
Man,
and then there's
you get
other
into,
possibilities.
you got to stay all in.
Spike strip.
Spike
crazy,
strip
man.
tearing up that front left wheel, and that's going to really bring this to a halt. Look at that tire, rolling away from him, and it just shredded on impact. And now it's a different situation. Now that front left wheel is inoperable. The car likely still mobile, but it has come to a stop at Garfield Avenue and via San Clemente here in East LA, as now multiple black and whites pull up behind the termination of this pursuit. I believe probably the end of this pursuit. We will see whether he tries to gas it and get away, or whether he has now realized that both tires, you're right. That front left wheel is down to the rim, and that happened really quick.
Yeah.
That happened really quick.
He's been going up and down Garfield Avenue so many times, they had to know he was going to do it one more time, and they were waiting with that spike strip.
Right. If ever there was a time where a suspect was really establishing a clear pattern and opportunity to set for a spike strip, this was certainly one of them.
Yeah.
And so a well-executed spike strip attempt, having exactly the desired effect, maybe even quicker than realized. I mean, the vehicle came almost to an immediate stop as that tire shredded apart. Now both left tires, at the very least, both left tires are gone essentially, and now we'll be able to watch and wait here to see if he changes his behavior, if he decides to roll down the window. We've already seen him roll down the window once. You saw his left arm out the window, but maybe we'll see if he starts to cooperate or shows any signs.
Well, Chris, aside from all the armed officers there, it's also a canine unit. You could see the dog toward the upper part of your screen. Well, now he's kind of behind the sign there, but you'll see that canine dog, and that's one officer you do not want to mess with.
That is exactly right, and it's always convenient when you've got a canine at the right place, the right time. In fact, if he wasn't, he would have been called in anyways. And now you see,
looks like he's smoking in there. Did you see a puff of smoke in the?
I missed it. I got to be honest, I missed it. But that would explain a lot. That really jives with a lot of other pursuits that we cover. You see the joyride where the driver is just aimlessly trying to drag the pursuit on as long as he can, only to come to a stop and enjoy his final minutes of freedom, either taking a smoke or a drink or whatever, and eventually, hopefully, giving up. Hopefully that relaxes him.
Well, smoke them if you got them, and now
exactly.
Time to turn it over. There's a replay of that spike strip hitting on the right side of our screen here. And as you mentioned, Chris, it shut that car down fast because it got the front driver's side tire and the rear driver's side tire as well.
Yeah, and I can't speak for the right tires. It's a little bit, the shadow is a little bit too dark on the right side of the vehicle. I can't tell if those right tires have been impacted. But in any event, the vehicle has come to a halt. And look at this, some odd behavior here, a lot of very animated suspect now that is moving around. It looks like he's hitting either the dashboard or...
It might be dance moves. He may have music on in there.
He could be dancing.
It's his last dance, maybe.
Yeah, let's go ahead and double up on the driver's side of that car if we can. Not sure if we're already doubled in. We're already doubled in, so we'll see if we can. Yeah, it's harder to see because it actually takes away some of the light. So we have less light. We could punch in a little bit closer, but it's difficult to see whether he is, whether he's dancing and enjoying this, or whether he's experiencing some type of a mental episode. Yeah. It could go either way. We've seen it all here in Southern California. I mean, you name it, it really is anybody's guess, but definitely a lot of movement, and I dare say perhaps under the influence.
Yeah. Of something, yeah.
Of something.
Maybe just bad music, but I don't know. I did see a puff of smoke about a minute or two ago, but
Yeah. You know, at times like this, you wish we had a boom mic on Air 7 and could hear what's going on down there, because it would probably be just as entertaining. But as entertaining and as fun as it appears as he's having inside that vehicle, these are very tenuous moments for those officers who are right behind that stolen vehicle. So you just hope that he doesn't do anything too silly, and they will have a certain amount of patience here for this suspect. They will be able to clear the area. Hopefully they'll have more spike strips set up this time in the event that he does try and use the remaining wheels that he has left to try and continue the pursuit, although I don't think he'd get very far. It's certainly possible. As we saw, he was already starting to spark after he hit that spike strip. That front left tire tore apart so quickly that he was on nothing but rim.
yeah. And you know, the good news is, Chris, like we haven't seen any sign of anyone else in that vehicle. It doesn't mean no one else is in there because the windows are tinted, but from our perspective up here, the only person we really make out in the vehicle is that driver.
It's a great point. It's a really good point. I think it's probably a safe bet just from our observation. Certainly, you know, anything's possible, but if I had to bet, I would say that you're right. I think this is a lone suspect inside the vehicle. Probably, I mean, I think it's just a safe bet. Let's put it that way. He is, again, enjoying his final minutes of freedom. And usually when we see this, the next step, however long it may take, is usually a surrender. It's usually a surrender.
Yeah.
It's somebody that, at the very least, they could talk to, maybe talk some sense into as they make some announcements on the PA system on those patrol cars. You know, will they resort to calling a Bearcat in? Possibly. Will they put that canine to use if he keeps that window open? Possibly. Will they call in for additional backup? It's again, they've got tools at their disposal. Right now, it still appears to be mostly California Highway Patrol. In fact, let's go ahead while we have the opportunity here, Brian, and zoom in on some of these other patrol cars that have
Yeah, CHP.
yeah, all of these appear to be CHP. Yeah, all highway patrol. At some point, I venture to say, you will see, if not yet, you will eventually see San Bernardino probably be in the vicinity, but you see more bystanders back there, people with their cell phones catching a glimpse, trying to get this on their Instagram reel as soon as possible. Always good for a few new followers, but they are keeping the audience back at a distance as they try and safely bring the suspect into custody.
And, you know, we aren't seeing vehicles in front of this pursuit vehicle here. And a reason could be you don't want to put officers in any kind of crossfire should something happen where fire breaks out.
Yeah, it looks like they have fired a less lethal round.
There it is.
Two less lethal rounds into the vehicle.
Windows.
Now, what is it? We don't know. We don't want to speculate too much because it could be a few different things. Don't let the smoke fool you. It could be rubber bullets. It could be actual pepper spray. And it could be something else. So we just don't know exactly what they're firing in there, but it appears to be less lethal rounds that have now been fired into the driver's seat.
I'm going with pepper balls. What's your
behavior here? In many cases, especially if he is under the influence, he may sustain that. Well, there he goes. There it is.
It was a convincer,
the desired effect
there he
of
goes.
Getting him to open that driver's side door. And now look for that canine unit. If he does not put those hands in the air, you are about to see Rin Tin Tin go to town.
Yeah.
Let's see if he cooperates.
I see hands
Looks
on the
like
head.
he is now forced out of the vehicle. They've smoked him out. Hands out of the vehicle. At least one. Yeah, it looks like both hands now are visible to those officers. And hopefully, if it's
It's a woman.
Rob, can you tell, is it a male or a female?
It appears to be a male waving to the choppers.
All right. Yeah, a male suspect who is.
Wait.
Well, he's
just
complying.
don't have. You probably are looking at a larger monitor than I am. Appears to be an older male. Now stepping gingerly back towards the CHP. He is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say likely under the influence, but that's just a guess. It appears, though, fortunately, he is cooperating with these officers. This pursuit now coming to an end as they prepare to take him into custody. They will approach him and place those hands in handcuffs. And now the rest of the story will be told. Well, you can see they have to now clear the vehicle. They will look inside, make sure there's nobody else inside, whether it's suspects or any innocent participants. Now you can see they'll throw up their hands in just a moment.
I'm gonna have to check that
for the code 4. And this pursuit certainly appears
there's got to be more chases.
Yeah, good news. When you see that suspect in cuffs.
It seems like it's like a...
Yeah, that looks, let's see.
Pastime.
Yeah, this one is a wrap, and good news because it really, again, emphasizes, you know, what we were saying earlier. I just get the feeling that this driver may not have been as competent as we were imagining. You know, we saw him driving a little recklessly, a lot of erratic moves, occasionally, you know, going a little too fast, but I really wonder about his sobriety at this point, and that certainly really could have gotten somebody hurt had this pursuit continued much longer. But they saw their opportunity. He was establishing a very clear pattern, providing the perfect opportunity for a well-executed spike strip, and that's exactly what they did immediately. That vehicle coming to a stop, and this pursuit coming to an end.
Well, yeah, it was a good hour and a half at least, as you mentioned before, and it shows that patience does pay off. These officers, you know, they kept their patience. They stayed on his tail safely. They didn't do anything.
I missed a couple, but
you know, reckless. There was a point where it looked like he may have been pulled over and could have been pinned in, but it all played out nicely right now.
Yep, I think all's well that ends well here. We didn't see anybody get hurt. We didn't even see any traffic collisions. A couple of close calls maybe, but for the most part, that's about it. And again, my guess is that he will likely be heading back to the Inland Empire to face whatever charges have stacked up against him.
Yeah, quite a few charges. Chris, thanks so much. We're going to put a period on the end of this sentence. This is going to wrap up our pursuit coverage, ending North Garfield Avenue and Via San Clemente in the southwest San Gabriel Valley. We're going to go right now to our regular streaming programming.
All right. So that's that. Thanks. Appreciate you swinging by. Whoever you are, silent person in the chat. That's all right. I don't mind. I'm silent as well. I gotta find my internet voice. Reach deep within myself, and you know. But stay safe out there, whoever you are. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.